Morning class 10. Welcome to the 9th session of e-learning classes, and in this session we are going to discuss about the major crops. Okay, this is the continuation of the chapter, and in this chapter we will discuss about some of the major crops that are grown in India. Okay, and let us understand about it. Okay, the first one is the food crop and the second one is non-food crop. There are two kinds of crops that is grown in our country, and those are food crops and non-food crops. There is a difference between the two. I'll give you an example to understand that. Food crops are the crops that we consume, okay, that we grow to consume ourselves, and non-food crops are the crops which we do not consume. That means which is grown for some other purpose. For example, we grow cotton not to consume but to make some other thing. Like for example, cotton is used for making clothes, for making thread, and so on. Okay, so let us start. Now, the growing of these crops depend upon three factors. That is soil type. The soil type all over country is not the same. Like for example, in Delta region they have got black soil that is very good for growing cotton. Whereas in the northern side we will find alluvial soil. In the northern plain there are good deposits of alluvial soil that is good for growing variety of crops. We have already discussed. Okay. Now, next factor is the climate. We know that the climates of the different area, okay, does not match. Okay, the climate in the north does not match with the south. The climate which is in the coastal region does not match with the places which are located in the interior part of the country. That is like Delhi, it is surrounded by other cities. Okay, it is not nearby the ocean. So there is a difference in the climate in different places. So the climate is also one of the factors that determines the growing of crop. Another one is cultivation practice. Now this is another important factor. In the south, the cultivation practice is different from the north. In the Himalayan region, they practice different kind of cultivation, whereas in the south they practice different kind of cultivation. Okay, so cultivation practices are also varies according to the people living there. Okay, now let us understand about the major crops that we grow in our country. So I have listed some of the major crops. Let us see this. Okay, the first one is rice, second millet, third pulses, fourth tea, fifth coffee, sixth sugarcane, seventh oilseed, eighth cotton, ninth jute and so on. Okay, so there are variety of other crops also that we will be discussing in the class. Okay, so let us start with the first one, that is the rice. Okay, students, so let us understand about the rice as a major crop in India. Okay, now let us understand. It is the staple food crops of the majority of people living in India. That means the maximum quantity of food consumed by the people of India is rice. Okay, our country is the second largest producer of rice in the world after China. From here also you can understand that since the consumption of rice is more, that means the production should also be more. That is why the India is producing the rice in the maximum quantity. That is why it has become the second largest producer of rice in the world. We know that our country is the second most populated country in the world. That is why the demand of rice is more, because since it is a staple food of the country, that is why the demand is more. Okay, and since the demand is more, the production should also be more, and that is why in this process, in the growing process, our country has become the second largest producer of rice in the world after China. That means China is the largest producer of the rice in the world. Okay, now the next point is, it is the kharif crop which requires high temperature above 25 degrees Celsius, high humidity with annual rainfall above 100 centimeter. Okay, now these are the climatic condition that is required for the growth of rice. Now since we know that rice is grown in the kharif season, okay, the temperature in the kharif season is very high, so therefore it is suitable for the growth of rice. The rice required the temperature above 25 degrees Celsius, and the kharif season is the appropriate time when the rice are sown. Okay, the humidity with the annual rainfall of 100 centimeter. Now we know that in the summer season only the rainfall starts. Okay, so that is why they also get the rainfall of about 100 centimeter. Now in some of the places they do not receive much rainfall, so what we do in that places, we use the process of irrigation. With the help of irrigation, in those places we grow the rice in good quantity. Okay. Now let us understand about the other thing, that is the places where the rice are grown. Rice grows in the plains of north and northeastern India, coastal areas and the deltic region. Now we can understand from here that the rice growing regions are the northern plains. Now here we understand north and northeastern India means it is mostly grown in the northern plains. Now we know that northern plains are covered with alluvial soil which is very rich and fertile, and northern plains are well drained by the water, so the water availability is also there and the climate is also good for the crops. Okay. Beside the north and northeastern part of India, the rice are also grown in the coastal areas and the deltic region. Now wherever the soil is suitable for the growing of rice, okay, those places have been utilized for growing the rice. Now it also depends upon the cultivation practice of the local areas. Now let us understand about the places where there is less availability of water, that means there is less rainfall. Okay. Now let us talk about the place where there is less rainfall. Okay. Now some of the areas receive very less rainfall, such as you can understand about the places like Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. These are the places where they receive very less rainfall, and in these places to grow the crops they requires the canal irrigation. We have got a good network of canal irrigation system in India, and tube wells are also in the supporting hand of the irrigation. So these are the important sources of water where there is less rainfall. Okay. So I hope you understood this. Now let us understand about another crop, another major crop, that is wheat. Okay. And it is one of the important cereal crop. It is one of the second most important cereal crop after rice. Okay. It is the main food crop in the north and northwestern part of our country. Now the wheat is liked by most of the northern people and northwestern people that is living in our country. Now what are the climatic conditions required for the growth of wheat? Let us see this. Okay. It is a rabi crop. When we talk about rabi crop, we understand that it is grown in the winter season. It is sown in the winter season. Okay. It requires a cool growing season and bright sunshine at the time of reaping. So it is a kind of crop which has a peculiar kind of reaping time. Okay, that is the bright sunshine at the time of reaping. That means when the time comes to harvest, okay, before that there is a reaping season. At that time, at the time of reaping, the crops require a bright sunshine. Okay, and the most part of the month which is in which it grows, it should be cool growing season. Okay, that means the season must be cool, and during the time of reaping the weather should be shining. Okay, sunshine, bright sunshine should be there. Okay, now it requires 50 to 75 centimeter of annual rainfall. Now 50 to 75 centimeter we have discussed earlier about the rice. There was 100 centimeter of rainfall. That means it requires less rainfall in comparison to the rice. So in comparison to the rice, it requires less rainfall, and it requires only 50 to 75 centimeter of annual rainfall. Now let us understand about the growing zones. Okay, the place where it grows. The Ganga Satluj plain in the northwestern part of our country has developed a good practice of wheat cultivation. Okay. Now another part is that the black soil region of Deccan. Now in the black soil region of Deccan Plateau also, okay, the wheat is grown. Now beside that, let us understand about the state where the wheat are grown. Now as you can see on the board, the first one is Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, and the parts of Madhya Pradesh are the states where the wheats are produced in major quantity. Okay. So this was all about wheat. Now let us understand about another major crop, that is millet. Okay. Now let us understand about the millets grown in our country. Okay. Now jowar, bajra and ragi are the important millets grown in the country. They are coarse grained but has very high nutritious value. Now jowar, bajra and ragi, these are the three kinds of millet which are mostly grown in our country, and they have got a very high nutritious value. For example, I can give you the example of ragi. Okay, it is rich in iron, calcium, and other micronutrients as well as rugged. So it has got a very good nutritious value to our body. Now let us understand one by one. The first one is jowar. Third most important food crop with respect to area of production. Now jowar is the third most important food crop. When we talk about food crop, we mostly talk about wheat, rice and so on. Okay, but from millets, jowar is also a third most important food crop. After rice and wheat, jowar comes the third. In terms of area of production, we call jowar as a third most important food crop. Okay, it is a rain-fed crop mostly grown in the moist area. Rain-fed crop means it is mostly grown in the area where they receive a good amount of rainfall and the soil almost remains the moist condition throughout the year. Okay, major jowar producing states are Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Okay, now these are the important states where the jowar are grown. Now let us understand about bajra. Bajra is grown in sandy soil and the shallow black soil. So you can understand that bajra is grown in the soil which is either sandy or it is a shallow black soil. Now the major bajra producing states are Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Haryana. Now let us quickly understand about ragi also. Ragi, as I told you, it is rich in iron, calcium and other micronutrients and rugged. It is a crop of dry season, okay, and grows well on red, black, sandy, loamy and shallow black soils. That means ragi is a kind of millets that can grow in different kind of soil. Okay. Now let us see the states where ragi is produced. Okay, as you can see on the board. Number 1, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Jharkhand and Arunachal Pradesh. These are the states where ragi is produced. Okay. Now let us understand about the another millets, that is maize. Maize is a crop which is used for both food and fodder. Okay. We take it maize as a food also and for fodder. Fodder means and for animals also. Okay. It is a food for both man and animal. Now next is your climate. What kind of climate it grows? Let us understand that it is a kharif crop. You know that kharif means it is summer crop. That means it grows in summer season. In some of the states like Bihar, it also grows in the rabi season. Okay. Now it requires the temperature between 21 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. As I said, it is a kharif crop, so it requires a high temperature, and the temperature for growing maize is 21 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. Now let us understand in what kind of soil it grows. The maize grows well in alluvial soil. The places where we find alluvial soil, those places can be used for growing maize. Okay, so that is why in the northern plains, most of the place they grow maize in which season? In kharif season. Okay. Use of modern inputs has increased the production of maize. Now, modern inputs like fertilizer, high variety of seeds, okay, they use these modern inputs and has increased the production of maize. Now, when we talk about the states where it grows, let us understand that also. Okay. Now, maize are mostly grown in Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Madhya Pradesh. So you can see these are the places where the maize is grown. Okay. Now let us understand now another crop, that is pulses. Okay. Now pulses are crops without which we cannot digest our food. Now what I mean to say is that most of the people in India, they take pulses with rice, and it has become one of the major crop that is consumed by the people of India. Now let us understand about it. India is the largest producer as well as the consumer of pulses in the world. Now in the world, India is the largest producer as well as the largest consumer of the pulses. These are the major sources of protein in a vegetarian diet. Now the people who are vegetarian, they usually include these pulses in their diet. Okay, pulses means dal. Okay, remember these. Major pulses that are grown in India are tur, which is also called arhar, urud, moong, musur, peas and gram. These are the pulses which are grown in our country. Now, another point is it need very less moisture and can even survive in dry season. That means the pulses can also be grown in the dry season. Okay, and it requires very less moisture. Now, this is the important thing about the pulses. Now, let us understand about one more and very important topic that I am going to discuss with you all about pulses. So, let us understand this. Being leguminous crop, all these crops except arhar helps in restoration of soil fertility by fixing nitrogen from the air. Now, this is a kind of crop which takes the nitrogen from the air and fix it in the soil. Nitrogen is such an element that helps in the growth of plant. So the pulses are the crops which takes the nitrogen from the air and fix it in the soil, and therefore it increases the fertility of the soil. So this is one of the very important thing about this crop. Okay, and because of this reason only, these crops are mostly grown in rotation with the other crop. Now, for example, I will give you the example of rice itself. Okay, when the rice is grown, okay, and when the rice season is finished, that means after harvesting of rice, the people can grow this crop that is called pulses. They grow pulses after that, so that the restoration of fertility can be done. Now, pulses, since the rice has grown in the soil, it has already absorbed the nutrients from the soil. Okay, the fertility has decreased. So to restore that fertility, they grows the pulses. When they grow pulses, again the fertility will be back again in the soil, and after finishing of this season, that is the pulses growing season, they can grow another crop in that soil, and that will grow well because the soil has already restored the nutrients because of the pulses. Okay, so you understood this. Now let us understand about the major producing states. That means the major pulses producing states. Okay, the first one is Madhya Pradesh, second one is Uttar Pradesh, third Rajasthan, fourth Maharashtra, and fifth Karnataka. These are the states where the pulses are produced. Okay, so this is all about today. Okay, we have discussed about some of the major crops as well as pulses. Okay, so with this I would like to end up the session here only, and I want you all to revise the concept once again and do revise and practice for your coming online examination. One more thing I would like to tell you, okay, that is regarding major pulses that's grown in India. Okay, there are tur, urud, mung, musur, peas, and gram. Now we have to identify, okay, or you have to recognize which crops are grown in summer season and which crops are grown in winter season. Now this is the task for today. Okay, now with this I would like to take a leave from the session. You all take care, stay safe. Thank you.